entire Mid-Ohio Valley. This is WTAP News at 6.
Good evening. The effort to rescue survivors of the Oklahoma City bombing is crippled by bad weather. But the search for a second suspect goes on. One is already under arrest and 2 others are held for questioning. Jim Hanchett has the latest from Oklahoma City.
While brutal weather slows the search for survivors, federal agents are pressing their hunt for suspects and evidence. Timothy McVeigh is being held at a federal prison in El Reno, Oklahoma. He was arrested yesterday and is so far the only person charged in connection with the bombing. Co-workers said he holds extreme right-wing views. And the arrest warrant indicates McVeigh was angry at the government for its attack on the Waco Branch Davidian compound 2 years to the day before the bombing. Investigators searched the Buffalo, New York home of McVeigh's parents today. They also returned to a Decker, Michigan farm in pursuit of evidence. Farmer James Nichols is being held for questioning. His brother Terry is also being held in Wichita as a material witness. Authorities say McVeigh and the Nichols were friends. And the FBI is still seeking another suspect.
He stated we still consider John Doe number 2, the artist conception which you previously received, as being presently unidentified and at large.
The father of these 2 still missing children is Keith Cloverdale.
I am very angry, and if they gave these guys 100 stays of execution at the last minute, that would be fine with me, and then finally just pull the plug on them.
Driving rain has delayed rescue workers as they focus on the daycare center at the base of the building. The recovery of toys like this fire truck indicate they're getting close.
Well, our firefighters found these just moments ago. We're starting to get into the area where we believe the child care center, the Social Security office, other floors.
FEMA video today from inside the building reveals the hazards, the tight spaces where the rescue effort is underway.
There are some large voids in this collapsed area, and there still may be survivors.
But it has been more than 3 days now since the explosion, and an already shaky building is being whipped and soaked by a bitter storm.
NBC Nightly News will have more details on today's developments following WTAP News at 6. Meanwhile, another Oklahoma City building has collapsed as a result of Wednesday's fatal bombing of the federal building. A bike and car repair shop collapsed to the ground shortly after 9 o'clock this morning. There were 4 or 5 employees in the structure at the time. They all managed to escape safely. The people were trying to clean up after the devastating incident. Firefighters at the scene say rain is partly to blame for the morning collapse. They say water apparently weighted down the roof and weakened the frames of the building, which is now in ruins. The Oklahoma City bombing has left America in a state of shock and mourning. But this next story from the heartland might make you more angry than sad. A couple working in the federal building hasn't been seen since the blast. As Jeff Lazalier reports, the couple's 6 children are not only facing the loss of their parents, but also a possible eviction from their home.
We just still think they're inside the building, hopefully alive.
The last time Robert Luster saw his mom and dad, they left Guthrie for a 9 o'clock appointment at the Social Security office in Oklahoma City's federal building. 9 Wednesday morning.
They found another device. Please stay on the outside of 7th Street.
We've cried and everything else, but right now we're... just waiting.
But time is running out for anyone left alive under the crush of rubble, and sadly running out for Luster and his 5 brothers and sisters. You see, their parents leased this home and were behind in the rent. The owner already legally served the family with an eviction notice before the blast at the federal building this week. Family members say the owner came back today.
Well, he said, "I'm sorry, I heard about your parents, but you're still going to get out of the house, the 28th. And I told him, well, we don't have no way to get out of the house, so you have to please give us a little more time. And he said no.
Logan County's Red Cross tried to mediate with the owner on behalf of the Luster children.
He said he had filed eviction notices and they have 1 more week to get out, and he will see that they are put out. He said they haven't mowed the lawn. You go by and look at it. And I said, that has nothing to do with it. If you were looking for your parents and presumed dead, would you be out mowing the lawn? And he said, that's beside the point. And I said, no, it isn't.
The owner lives in Guthrie's Silver Valley Addition. We went by to check his side of the story.
Hello, Mr. Gandy.
You better get your ass out of here before I send you on the ambulance.
Pardon me?
Get out of here and don't come back.
We're from Channel 4. We have some questions for you.
I know you got a camera, too.
Well, that's right. Would you like to tell us your side of the story?
I want you to get that camera the hell off my property.
Well, would you talk to us?
I'll come out there if you get that camera off me.
At his request, we moved the camera back to the street. Here's what happened.
All I wanted to know is...
If you want to know, you get your ass to this house or get out of here.
I'll leave. I'm not going to take threats. I'm just giving you yours. It's your chance to tell your side of the story. That's all.
As the Luster children pray for their parents, their church pastor in Guthrie says the congregation stands behind the family.
Truly a sad story that can make us all very angry. In our nation's capital, a man in line to tour the White House was restrained for causing a disturbance today. The man was waiting in a long line of other people hoping to tour the White House. He became unruly and apparently got tired of waiting. Authorities were forced to restrain him for the safety of the other visitors. He was cuffed and later released after he calmed down. The identity of the man isn't known because he wasn't arrested. In news closer to home, an unidentified woman is dead after an early morning car accident in Ritchie County. The Ritchie County Sheriff's Department says a single vehicle crashed around 2:30 this morning on Singtown Road off Route 47. Officials say the only occupant in the car, a woman, died in a fire which ignited as a result of the wreck. The woman hasn't been identified. Her body has been sent to the state medical examiner's office. Now, further information is available on the accident. Supporters of the Warren local school levy today took their message to the streets. Parents and students joined in a parade to rally support for the $9.7 million levy. For the kids and parents, the message was simple.
If this levy's going to pass, the adults need to vote. If they care for their kids, they'll vote yes. If not, they have nobody to blame but themselves.
The school levy has failed the last 6 times it was on the ballot. Organizers say if it fails again, one elementary school would be forced to close and many extracurricular activities would be cut. The election is Tuesday, May 2nd. A Wood County firm is setting its sights on the stars. Aerospace Recovery Services of Belleville is playing a crucial role in the development of parafoils used in military and space exploration. A parafoil is essentially a large parachute designed to permit the soft and accurate landing of cargo dropped from an aircraft flying at high altitudes. This West Virginia firm developed a 7,300
Ohio Valley. This is WTAP News at 11.
Miserable weather is crippling the rescue effort in Oklahoma City. Good evening, I'm Sonia Deberzini. The FBI, meanwhile, is hunting for a second suspect. One is already under arrest and 2 others are being held for questioning. Jim Hanchett has the latest from Oklahoma City.
On a night when officials said there is no longer a reasonable hope that survivors are still alive within the rubble, the hunt for another suspect is on. And 3 people with apparently unusual political beliefs are in custody. Terry Nichols is being held overnight in Wichita, only as a witness at this point. Nichols told the judge he is confused and jumbled, and an acquaintance says Nichols renounced his right to vote in a backlash against the government. Timothy McVeigh is the only suspect now under arrest. The former soldier told an acquaintance the Army had implanted a computer chip in his buttocks, and he wanted revenge for the attack on the Waco compound 2 years ago. FBI agents held for questioning and searched the Michigan farm of James Nichols, Terry's brother. And another search was underway in Kingman, Arizona, McVeigh's last known address and home of an extreme right-wing paramilitary group. The FBI is also searching for at least one more suspect, the man identified as John Doe, number 2. And the heartbreaking search for federal employee Castine Devereaux is also underway. The killers can't be caught soon enough to satisfy her son.
What do you think? I was angry, man. I just wish I could just get at him right now, you know.
From the children's treasures mixed in the rubble, rescue workers know they're close to the daycare center at the base of the building. A couple dozen bodies may be near here, but officials now say it's unlikely there could be life here.
It's possible that there is, but, you know, as the hours pass and the days passes, it gets less and less possible.
Thank you, Jim. Meanwhile, a Jordanian American brought back to the U.S. on Thursday is glad to have his name cleared in connection with the bombing of the Oklahoma City Federal Building. Abraham Ahmad was detained Thursday in London for questioning. Authorities have since concluded that Ahmad had nothing to do with the bombing. America has been glued to their television sets for the past 4 days, hoping that search crews can find just one more survivor in the concrete and marble ruins. For some, the news is more than some families can bear. Susan Steely reports on a family who lost their sons, their 2 sons, in the explosion, and the uncle who found them in the morgue.
I felt helpless.
In one brief second, Wednesday's explosion ripped Edie Smith's life apart. Edie's 2 sons, 3-year-old Chase and 2-year-old Colton, were inside the federal building's daycare center. Edie and her mother, Kathy, ran frantically to the scene from their office just blocks away.
And so we went out the front door, and it was like the end of the world. You know, there was just glass falling out of buildings and people laying around cut up. When we heard the explosions, we took off running again. Edie just crumbled. My babies, my babies.
I knew from looking at the building that there's no way that they could even have survived. Still, Edie hoped and prayed for a miracle that never came. Edie didn't learn the shattering news about her son's deaths till hours later, after her brother, Yukon police officer Daniel Koss, started searching for them at the morgue.
So I decided to go ahead and take my chance and see if I could locate the children there. And as I walked up the steps, they were trying to identify Jane Doe, white male boy child. And as I walked up, it was Colton.
But the horror would get worse. 3 hours later, Daniel found little Chase at the medical examiner's office. He had to decide how he would tell Edie.
Just hurt mostly, how am I going to tell my sister? You know, do you just come in and tell her that her child's dead? Do you try to break it to her easy?
And now, Edie and her family must somehow deal with the grief and shock. For Kathy, the hardest part is the silence, not hearing the boys' laughter as they played with their toys.
Yeah, I've cried so much the last few days. I don't think there's any tears left.
All that sustains this family is the memories.
Oh, they were just sweet and cute, and they were so funny. They loved to eat donuts. They hated to brush their teeth.
Edie says she just hopes other parents learn from this tragedy, learn to cherish their children.
Parents need to understand how precious their children are, and they're irreplaceable. You should go above and beyond the call of duty to do anything and everything you can to make your children happy, and because you never know when they're going to be taken away from you.
Truly a disaster out in Oklahoma City. On Capitol Hill, President and Mrs. Clinton were under oath today as they spoke to Whitewater Independent Counsel Kenneth Starr. White House counsel Abner Mikva says the first couple is cooperating fully. Mikva's statement doesn't say much about the interviews. That's because Starr asked that no disclosure be made at this time. Starr's inquiry has looked into a wide variety of issues, including the possibility that money was funneled to Clinton's Arkansas gubernatorial campaigns from banks linked to the Whitewater land deal in which the Clintons had invested. He is also investigating the gunshot death of White House Deputy Counsel Vincent Foster and the handling of papers in Foster's office after his death. The woman who founded the Gray Panthers and inspired the world to think differently about the elderly has died. Maggie Kuhn passed away in her Philadelphia home this morning. Kuhn was one of 5 women over the age of 60 who founded the Gray Panthers 25 years ago as a protest to the Vietnam War. The organization quickly turned to a host of social issues, battling sexism, racial injustice, and age discrimination. Maggie Kuhn was 89. In news closer to home, some students in the Warren Local School District spent their Saturday back at school. As Greg Mocker reports, the kids and their parents had a lot to say about a levy on the May ballot.
Most parents don't like to hear their children yelling. But Cindy Malahan doesn't mind at all.
The kids are so worried about this levy because they know they're going to lose a lot if this one goes down.
Voters in the Warren Local School District will consider a $9.7 mil levy on this May ballot. Today, parents and students rallied support during a parade outside Warren Local High School. Malahan says if the levy fails, 2 elementary schools will have to close, and many extracurricular activities will have to go. 5th grader Beth McAfee is worried about that.
I don't want them to shut down all the other schools because my neighbor and I will be separated, and she's my very best friend.
A school levy has been on the ballot in this district the past 6 elections. It's failed each time. The kids hope this time will be different.
Because we want everyone to know safe our schools.
School isn't in session on this Saturday in the Warren Local School District, but these kids were out here learning a hard lesson in politics and even economics. But they spent part of the day reviewing their alphabet.
Give me a B! B! Give me an O! O! Give me a T! T! Give me an E! E! I learned that our schools are very important to us and that we need to get a good education so we can have a good future.
These students have done their homework. Now the voters will decide if this levy makes the grade. Greg Mocker, WTAP News, Vincent, Ohio.
Thank you, Greg. One longtime Wood County leader is feeling honored tonight after his years of service,
but he isn't wasting any time getting to know the school system. Curry signed his contract after the Wood County Board gave its approval to his hiring and to his interim status. Levy is on the ballot. At stake is the closing of Cutler Elementary, the loss of programs, and the sweeping change of Barlow Vincent Elementary into a middle school. Tonight's parents attending a levy meeting got a tour of the school. John Fortney tagged along and has this report. Without being distracted by just hall traffic.
Barlow Vincent Elementary, designed more than 20 years ago as an open classroom school.
It wasn't what they really wanted at the building, but that was the best they could do, is put up the temporary petitions, so that's what we have now.
The open space proved to be the wrong environment for teaching, but BV, with its partition space, is home to 720 students, of which 480 kindergarten through 5th graders would be sent to Little Hocking, Little Warren, and Bartlett elementaries if the levy fails. Then 650 6th through 8th graders would call BV their new home, something Barlow Vincent was never designed for.
There's a 5th grade class on the other side of the library. The only thing that separates the 5th grade class from the library is a row of bookshelves.
Over the years, students and teachers have adapted to the open classroom concept. But with the middle school, new teachers and new students will have a much tougher assignment.
You get Little Hocking and Little Warren children coming in here. They haven't adapted to the open. Our children here at Barlow Vincent have adapted.
The consolidation of BV, combined with more than 20 layoffs and the cutting of parts of the English, math, and foreign language departments, including sports, would save an estimated $1.2 million. But that won't fix the district's problems.
Postpone the inevitable. Unfortunately, eventually the district will have to have additional revenue, whether it comes from levy increase, whether it comes from borrowing money through what's called the state loan fund, but eventually the money will have to be there in one way or another.
So what will voters get with the $1.7 million the levy would raise for each of the 5 years?
They'll see in their classrooms new classroom materials. There'll be more materials available in the classroom because that's the area that had been cut. Visual aids, library holdings, again, textbooks, that kind of thing.
Now it's up to the voters on May 2nd to see if that kind of thing will indeed happen. John Fortney, WTAP News, Vincent, Ohio.
Thanks, John. And coming up next are these dreary days history. We'll find out. Your weather forecast coming your way next. Stay with us.